story was uploaded by Raoul9753. This happened a few years ago in my old one-person flat. I had a strange feeling that something wasn't right for a few days. Like I was sure that food in the fridge was disappearing, and I found pillows from my couch on the floor. I lived alone back then, so there wasn't anyone else with access to my flat, or so I thought. I woke up one night around 1 o'clock in the morning, sweating, and even though I didn't remember, I was sure I woke up from a nightmare. Since I was drenched in sweat, I decided to take a shower, so I put my phone up in the bathroom for music, turned on the water and enjoyed my shower. A few minutes later I heard the door move. I never close it, but it still never moves. I took a look at the shower curtain and saw a shadow against it, and a look at my phone confirmed someone was there, since I could clearly see a reflection in my screen that showed someone standing next to the shower curtain. It took me a lot not to scream and to keep acting like I didn't notice anything, while silently taking the shower head off and turning the water all the way to hot. Our water got really hot when you cranked it all the way up, and a few seconds later steam was rising and the water hurt my feet whilst it was flowing into the drain. I turned around, ripped the shower curtain open and held the shower head right at the person behind. It was a woman. She screamed in pain. I whacked her in the face with the shower head and jumped out of the shower and ran to the door, taking the key out of the lock and closing it behind me. A little later she started to bang on the door, but the door didn't give. I called the police and went into the kitchen to get my big kitchen knife, just for safety. I felt like my throat was closing up when I saw it was missing and realised there's only one place where it could possibly be right now. The police came and arrested the woman, who turned out to have been the former person living in the flat and was evicted for not paying rent. Seems she made a copy of the key and came into the flat when I was at work and sometimes at night. It's possible that what woke me up in the first place was her, and honestly I don't even want to think about it. I found the knife later in the bathroom, so she definitely had it with her. Ever since then, I always insist that locks are changed when I move into a new place. This story was uploaded by Can You Not Do That Please? When I was a kid, my father took my older brother and I to a cabin in the middle of literal nowhere for the week as a vacation. We also took our cat with us. Everybody has their own room, and I had the room furthest from the other two, positioned right where the woods started. There was a window right next to my bed on the right side, and there was a tree right next to it. The bedrooms were on the second floor, by the way, and the window didn't have any curtains or blinds to cover it. One night I remember feeling really homesick and being unable to sleep. The cat was laying on the bed with me, and I was reading a comic book with a flashlight, when around 2 AM I began to hear tapping on my window. I assumed that it was just a tree branch tapping on the window because it was a windy night, but I began to hear whispers, and I remember just freezing in fear and feeling like a bunch of ice water had just been poured onto me. I could hear whoever it was tapping and saying things like, "Open up, let me in." I was too paralysed by fear to do anything but just lie on my side, facing away from the window, terrified and close to tears. I knew that it wasn't my father, and in my imagination I thought it was the boogeyman or some other creature that would gladly kill me. All the while, my cat was hissing and clawing at the guy. I just remember holding him and burying my face in his fur because he felt like a safety net, my one defence against this guy. I couldn't work up the nerve to call my father. Then I remember this horrible screeching noise. I turned around to look to see what it was, and I could see this guy with the most maniacal grin that I had ever seen, like something out of a horror movie, dragging a pocket knife against the glass, making this horrendous noise, and I screamed bloody murder. The grin disappeared, and he looked like a combination of horrified and absolutely full of rage. But then my father came barreling into my room with his hunting rifle, and as you can imagine, seeing this made the guy panic and just sort of drop backwards. My father just looked at me to make sure I was all right, and my brother ran in before he went off to go and catch the guy before he got away. But unfortunately, it wasn't a long drop and the man probably got a few bruises from it. He was gone by the time my father got down there, and we waited the night and nobody slept before we packed up and went back home. To this day, I don't think they ever caught the guy, though I remember my father filing a police report and me having to talk to the police to give a description, and I'm still grateful for my cat, who turns 14 this week and is still as feisty as ever. To whoever was outside my window that night, I hope we never meet again. This story was uploaded by No Doubt About It. 2.5 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night because my wife's chihuahua was barking at the front door. This wasn't a rare occurrence by any means, and usually my wife and I thought nothing of it, because that dog will bark at anything, and I assumed it was just a car going by or something like that. Usually, my wife is the one to settle the dog down, but she was 3 months pregnant with our child and obviously needed sleep, so I got up to go and see what the fuss was about. Our other, bigger dog was cowering in the bathroom, which was a habit of his because he's a rescue and will run and hide at the slightest noise. I thought nothing of it and went to the living room, where I found the Chihuahua dog going absolutely nuts. I picked him up to try and calm him down when I just got this feeling like I needed to check the front door. I have learned to always listen to those feelings, so I carefully peeked out of the curtains at the nearest window, which thankfully gives you a direct view of the porch area and the front door. On the porch was a woman, mid-30s, dishevelled, and looking like she crawled out of a sewer. Her clothing was ripped and dirt streaked her face, and then I noticed that she had a kitchen knife in her hand, and she was just standing there, patiently. I immediately called the police. I get back to the window and she's gone. The police arrive and they didn't find her. What scares me most about the situation is that my wife is the first one to leave in the morning, and that she could have walked straight into a trap. Needless to say, we did end up moving, and we never doubted the instincts of our Chihuahua again. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I upload stories on a weekly basis, and please, sleep well.